I did read this afternoon, the story. I read up on it. And then this was the lead. This was the number one story on TVNZ tonight, which kind of surprised me. It's not a huge story. It's pretty embarrassing. It's embarrassing both for Luxon and for Seymour. Winston Peters goes pretty unscathed in this because it's showing how much disdain David Seymour has for the Prime Minister of this country. Like, to basically just go and contact the United fucking Nations and thinking it was okay to go and represent some stuff as a minister in this crown, a deputy prime minister. It goes to show he has absolutely no thought for the leadership that is above him. Let's have a look at the story, shall we?
David Seymour has been pulled into line by his coalition partners. The ACT leader forced to withdraw a blunt letter he sent to a top United Nations official. Christopher Luxon says Winston Peters should have been the one to respond after a UN human rights expert wrote to the government concerned about Maori rights. Political editor Mikey Sherman has more.
I did read this afternoon in the article as well. Luxon also said, it's not actually that I disagree with what Seymour said, so he was still being a limp dick, wet biscuit, but we'll get into it.
With Crown Māori relations at boiling point, the United Nations has stepped in. UN Indigenous rights expert Albert Barume writing to our government over a persistent erosion of the rights of Māori through regressive legislations and policies breaching international obligations.
Pretty much nailed that, hasn't he, Chewie? That's
straight
well
out
done,
the
sir.
gates.
You're pretty much spot on.
I think the whole letter was a total waste of time.
The letter mentioned ACT's
do you now?
regulatory standards bill, so David Seymour wrote back, calling it presumptive, condescending and wholly misplaced. He said, as an Indigenous New Zealander myself, I am deeply aggrieved by your audacity in presuming to speak on my behalf and that of my fellow Māori.
They purport to speak for Indigenous New Zealanders such as myself from Geneva.
No, not such as yourself, David. Indigenous New Zealanders who give a shit about Indigenous issues, so not Indigenous New Zealanders such as yourself, Indigenous New Zealanders who aren't receiving paychecks from Atlas to take apart all things Indigenous. They're the ones that they're speaking on behalf of, and I think that's okay.
I think there was an opportunity there, if he's going to name drop the fact that he is of Indigenous descent in the letter, to put brackets, my own iwi have disowned me. Like, all right. Like this is, you can't run and hide under the cloak of Māori when it's convenient and then fucking say, no, there's nothing special about you at any way and we shouldn't consider anything to do with Māori at any other time. It's just convenient in this particular time for you to mention that you're Indigenous.
Yeah.
Oh, it makes my blood boil.
Here we go.
We're on the other side of the world when they wouldn't have a clue.
David Seymour only ever raises his Māori ancestry when it's to deflect from criticism for him for his clearly anti-Māori racist policy, behaviour, actions and speech.
The problem for Seymour, he isn't the Māori or the minister who should have responded.
Winston Peters is our Minister of Foreign Affairs. He engages and handles our relationship with the United Nations.
It's over 80 years of our engagement with the United Nations. That's not how we act.
People think that I'm too quick off the mark, getting stuck into the UN on their crazy criticisms of our government, then that's fine.
The slip-up was discussed last night.
Who initiated the meeting between you and Winston Peters? How did that come about?
Oh, look, he asked to chat about it and I said, sure, come over. I mean, we're literally 20 paces apart in the beehive.
Well, I went to find out and I had a talk with David about who is responsible, how it works. I mean, this is a matter of experience.
I would have loved to be in the room for that.
Seymour said he...
Yeah, you can't imagine. I mean, even Winston's being a little bit diplomatic there. You can't imagine that it was as cordial, perhaps. Like, what the fuck are you doing, stepping on my toes, embarrassing me, doing my job? Excuse me? Excuse me.
I would imagine that part of that conversation went something like this. Listen here, you jumped up little shit. And then more discussion.
All right.
He didn't tell Luxon or Peters he was sending the letter.
Look, I didn't, because I'd been sent the letter and so that I could give a response.
Now, Mr. Seymour's letter
You'd been sent
to...
Yeah. Can we expand on that? I wonder where the
was it addressed to David Seymour?
Who sends it to you? Like, as if you were sent it by someone in ACT, then that doesn't mean you necessarily respond to the UN. You were sent it. Was it addressed to D. Seymour, Mr. White Lane Avenue?
Communication being to him. No, it wasn't. It was to me.
There you
Labor
go.
says it's not the first time the coalition confusion's gone international.
So you've got Christopher Luxon saying that there's a trade war going on. You've got Winston Peters saying that there isn't. On a daily basis, you see those senior ministers in government contradicting each other.
And right on cue,
Do you find it rude that Minister Seymour jumped the gun and wrote directly to
Wasn't
the
any minister
UN?
jumped the gun.
Who else did?
I'm not adding to that.
You started
you
it.
mentioned
Why
it.
don't you tell us more.
I'm not telling you anymore.
Jump the gun.
Look, experience is important in this business.
coalition confusion laid bare. Mikey Sherman, One News.
So there you go. He's not the Messiah. He's been a very naughty boy, old David Seymour. It's just a bit bizarre. I mean, for a member, I mean, this is a bit of a silly analogy or comparison. But when I did last election, all those conversations with the New Zealand, the Dunedin mayors, Aaron Hawkins, who was the incumbent mayor, had to watch what he said because he was the mayor. He was the person in the seat. So if he said something about the street development, it could actually have some weight to it. It doesn't seem that David Seymour realises he's the Deputy Prime Minister. Maybe he's still acting like an opposition MP, because when you put your name to something that goes to an international body, you have a duty, because of the position you hold, to maybe stay within the realms of what is politically acceptable. And this is not. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's embarrassing. Like, I'm glad that it's embarrassing to this government, but when Luxon was discussing how he had disciplined, for lack of a better word, David Seymour, I heard that in Winston's voice. Like, it's very clear that the captain is not in charge of this ship.
Yeah.
And look, let's talk about the letter from the UN, shall we? The UN has picked up the fact that this government has gone hell for leather at attacking specifically Maori rights and the protections of the treaty. Like, this has not gone unnoticed internationally. And it hasn't gone unnoticed that it is a systemic thing from this government. The whole government has been dedicated to removing the protections of the treaty, or considerations to the treaty. The UN's noticed, and it sent a letter, and that has only been dealt with. It fell on David Seymour's desk, and rather than go and ask someone, he's just decided to take it in hand and sort it himself, completely bypassing what most organisations would call the chain of command.
Yeah. Yeah. And even the chain of command is, we can even pull back from that, not be quite so heavy-handed with that word, respect. I mean, like, this is the CEO business government we're running. Could you imagine the head of a department going above the CEO's head to a supplier and saying all these things that are representing the company? You know what I mean? It's like, there's just zero respect in this. It's fascinating to see, actually. It makes it even more fascinating to see what happens coming up to the next election. Because, like I said, I'll say it again, David Seymour is acting like a opposition politician doing this, not as the Deputy Prime Minister. So the closer we get to an election, 12 months to 16 months, perhaps 12 to 14 months, I think you're going to see maybe more and more and more of this behaviour, with him separating himself out, because his base will fucking love this letter.
Oh, he told the UN to go fuck themselves. Absolutely, they'll love it. And look, you're exactly right about behaving like an opposition party leader. He has to get Winston out next election. That's got to be his number one goal. It's for the government to stay the government, but for him to increase his share or take from New Zealand First as much as possible, so Winston's not there anymore. I think that's going to be Seymour's focus much more than going after the Greens, Te Pāti Māori or Labour.
Do you mean something like this? This was a story that came out 2 days ago, Chewie, which we didn't feature. ACT sets out plan to party faithful to keep the government. ACT wants to keep the government and make it better, not stay in government, not be a part of a coalition of government, not even be the government. He wants to keep. Yeah, he wants to keep the government. We're going to own this motherfucker. And that's what he means. And that's what he's doing. And that's what we've been saying since day one, that Luxon, who is the world's worst negotiator, who gives away things like the Treaty Principles Bill when he didn't need to, when it wasn't a bottom line for ACT, that's what Seymour can see. Seymour can smell blood. Now, whether that's Winston's blood, okay, leave it there, and he wants to get rid of him, like you're saying, or whether it's Luxon, I'm not saying Luxon's going to go anywhere, but if you can smell a wounded animal and you know that they're not going to be the big alpha, you know, it's okay. We'll let the wounded animal think they're still in charge, but I'm going to keep the government. That's what I'm going to do. It's terrifying, man. It's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.